So what did I even say, bro? Alright, I'm just gonna record this because I don't even know what I said. I just been talking. I need to jot down my thoughts and get my ideas more organized so I know what the fuck I'm saying when I hop in front of this camera. But this is literally one of one. If I'm being honest with y'all, Blazen Hot Podcast, this is the first Blazen Hot Podcast right here. Ain't no other Blazen Hot Podcast like my Blazen Hot Podcast. So y'all better get with me. Y'all better hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and get notified, bro. And stay blazing hot. Yeah.
Baby, you don't know what you do to me. Between me and you, I feel a chemistry. I won't let no one come and take your place.
Yes.
There's only one more left. I want you to.
There's only one left?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
I want to give you the last one.
Aw, thank you. What's up with all my Blazing Hot subscribers? It's YP Maddie, and I am here with a video and a strawberry popsicle that's really, really good, bro. Alright, so I'm starting a podcast, and I'm gonna call it the Blazing Hot Podcast. Yeah. So, as I had previously mentioned in the video that I had posted, I do own a business. I own an online boutique called Blazen Hot Boutique, where everything is blazing hot. And you know, in the spirit of one, wanting to grow my business, and two, wanting to step out into the world, I thought to myself, hey, why don't I start a podcast and just talk about anything and everything, you know what I'm saying? Cause it's like, this the Blazing Hot Podcast, where everything is blazing hot. So you can just do whatever you want. And that's what I plan on doing today. So, today's Blazing Hot topic is, are humans better at creation or destruction? And when I saw this question, my mind immediately went to the thought of nature nurture. Now, hold on. I actually have to search up the definition of nature nurture before I fuck this up and say the wrong shit. My mind immediately went to nature nurture. And nurture is basically the ideology that humans are born into this world, and by external inheritance, I should say, by what we observe, if we see our parents do good and our childhood development as we grow up, us too will also do good. Now that's nurture. The nature aspect of it is we are products of our environments. If we grow up in an area where we have to learn to survive through violent means, then we will be violent, and we will be displayed as violent in the human eye. But it's not only violent. Like I said, you are a product of your environment. So if you're in the environment where you have to be violent in order to protect yourselves, then that is what you will be deemed as. But if you are already in an environment where the need to protect yourself is low, and all other opportunities to do anything else, let's say to either embetter your environment, or to embetter your own self-esteem, to embetter other people's self-esteem, the opportunities will always be there, and then you're going to think, oh, okay, well, I'm going to do good by nature because those are all the opportunities that present themselves to me. Fuck. However, when we talk about, are humans inherently better at creation or destruction, I feel like another good topic that really has to come up with that is, are humans born evil and then taught good, or are we born good and then taught evil? And a little bit of my own personal ideology that goes behind that is, if we were born evil, you know, like imagine humans were born as wolves, or no, better yet, imagine you were born a wolf, and in the spirit of a wolf, you learn to hunt, you learn to kill, you learn to gather, you learn to mate, you learn to be a lone wolf, you learn to run with the pack, you learn all that stuff. In the nature of a wolf, is that primarily bad? No, because in the nature of a wolf, that's what they have to do to survive. So then, you would ask yourself, if I was a wolf, and the question is, am I inherently born good or am I inherently born bad? I would say I'm inherently born good, because I'm good at fuck. That was the middle finger. My ice cream cone is melting on me. This was not planned. That was not planned. I feel like, let me restart. However, I feel as though when we're talking about humans being better at either creation or destruction, another thing that really has to come up within that conversation is, are humans inherently born good and then taught to be bad, or are we inherently born bad and then taught to be good? Because, you know, if you ask yourself the question, well, if you ask yourself that question, genuinely ask yourself that question, and write down in the comments what you think. But if you ask me, I'd say we're just a product of our environment. Human beings are born, taught, and raised the way that they are within their household, within their community, and within their environment. So in the question of, are humans inherently born good? Well, could you really say that humans are inherently born good? If you were to raise up a child, let's say in a good household, in a good neighborhood, in a fairly good community, you know what I'm saying? Then when that child face adversity in the future, let's say that child does face some negativity later on down the line in life, let's say that child does face some negativity later on down the line in life, how is that child going to handle it? All their life they were brought up in a good household, in a good community, in a good environment. Now this negative situation has presented themselves. Are they going to carry themselves within a good manner or within a destructive manner? And if you really want to take an in-depth look in that question, just flip the whole scenario. Imagine somebody was born in a down bad, like terrible environment, like the environment that they lived in didn't really have any role models, so they didn't have anybody to look up to. The community that they lived in was a degraded community, so there's not very much to be optimistic about. How is that individual going to handle adversity in the face of positivity? Are they going to feel unsettled and uneased, or is that person going to be glad and relieved? And are they going to handle it with positivity? That popsicle was delicious. But yeah, as I was saying, so how is that person that was primarily brought up within a negative environment going to handle adversity in the face of positivity? Would you say that that person is going to handle positivity with negativity because that's all that they've been brought up their entire life? Or would you say that that person would handle positivity with positivity? The same exact way how in the vice versa situation with the good person, with the person that was brought up in the good and positive environment, when they are faced with adversity and when they're faced with negativity, how are they gonna react to that? And I feel like the biggest way excuse me, and I feel like the biggest way to determine and understand whether a person is going to face adversity with positive or negative, with positivity or negativity, is within that person themselves and how that person perceives the world. You see, made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching, and please go ahead and press that like button and hit the subscribe button to keep on listening to more Blazen Hot podcasts just like this one. I had some technical difficulties, but I had to re-record the ending of my podcast earlier, but just like what I was saying a couple seconds ago, we finna get right into it, because you know what I'm saying, the power of editing can let me do that. And just as I was saying, the best way to understand is by understanding what events took place in that person's life for them to lead negatively or positively towards reacting to that decision. You see, this is why I said earlier in this video that people are a product of their environment. But not only are people a product of their environment, I feel as though people are also a product of their experiences. Therefore, like, my overall statement right here, I'm about to say this. This is the blazing hot statement coming from yours truly, YP Maddie, for sure. Let them know the name. Let them know the name. You gotta let them know the name, YP Maddie. People are a product of their... fuck. Run it back. People are a product of their environment and experiences. And this is exactly why I say that. You see, you gotta know yourself. You need to ask yourself the question and understand what events and decisions took place within your own life that shifted your emotions positively or negatively. Like, literally, bro, imagine this scenario. Imagine two people have the same friend. All right, two people have the same friend, and this friend treats this friend very nicely. Like, I'm talking about when this friend come over, this friend is getting Pop-Tarts, Kellogg's, pastry, Crips, Thins, whatever the fuck them little shits that they was handing out at them SOLs. I ain't forget that, School County, when y'all was giving us some little Kellogg's bars for the SOLs. But they come over, bro, and they just treat them so good. And they get everything, and they're like, bro, like, you want to play some Fortnite? You know what I'm saying? You want to play on my Nintendo Switch? Like, bro, like, they buddy for real over here. But then over here, bro, like, it ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't swing that way. Like, no, you can't share. No, you can't play with my toys. No, you can't have my snacks. But he gets his snack. No, I said you can't have a snack. Like, you see how developing this experience right here could be very negative towards this friend right here, because now this friend is going to create what they call what the word is, no, because now this friend is going to perceive the friend in common, the mutual friend that they both have in common. This one is going to perceive him as a negative and bad individual, because over time his experiences have led up to not be good whatsoever. As observed, this friend did not have a good perception of the mutual friend, or on the other hand, this friend had very good perception of the mutual friend, and he continued to interact with him because he continued to collect positive experiences shared with that mutual friend. And as I just mentioned, it's really good to know yourself. If that second friend that was getting treated like trash did not realize the disrespect that he was getting every time he hung around the mutual friend, then he would have kept hanging around him, and he would have kept collecting negative experiences about that mutual friend. And so eventually, I hope that that second friend would have found it within himself to cut the bad fruit off of the tree and stop messing with the mutual friend, because obviously that individual ain't bringing no positivity and good into your life. But as for friend number one, the one that was getting treated with respect and positivity and the shared items and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? The you can drive my car, I'll let you drive my car type deal. That friend kept hanging around him, and they had a good friendship. Not to say anything was bad with that mutual friend, but that second friend decided to continue collecting good experiences, continue to have shared moments with the mutual friend, because it was in their good nature and it was positive for them. Of, well, if it works for you, then good for you, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Yeah. Yeah. And a good way to find out what is good for yourself individually is by becoming self-aware, so that once you've become self-aware, you now know what you like and what you don't like. You now know what piques your interest and what wouldn't pique your interest. It's good to understand that just because you're interested in something and it tips your scale in a positive way and is great for your life doesn't mean that you should go ahead and preach that to the whole world, because truthfully spoken, what tips your scale positively might tip somebody else's scale negatively. If you've made it this far in the video, please just go ahead, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button so you can get notified when I drop more Blazing Hot podcasts just like this one. I had some technical difficulties, but we right back to it. Because of the power of editing, I'm about to pick up right back where I left off. The best way to understand how either one of those individuals is going to face adversity is by knowing themselves. Just like what Drake said, you could apply this in your own life. You gotta know yourself. Always, man, bro. Like, y'all gotta know yourself for real. Like, you really got to know yourself. And the reason why I say that is because I said you have to know yourself. You have to understand what events, decisions, problems that arose in your life that you had to solve that allowed you to construct certain ideologies towards certain things. You see, you might have a morphed idea towards Toyota as a car brand because you owned a Toyota. You own like a 2004 Toyota Corolla, and then the gasket went leaking on you, and gas was leaking everywhere, oil was leaking everywhere, and the car broke down on you, and it cost you a whole lot of money to either fix it or sell it. Now, because every time you see a Toyota, you think about your old down bad, 2004 Corolla that just kept draining money out your pocket. Now you have a morphed negative ideology towards Toyotas, whereas a totally different individual could go out and buy that same exact Toyota, could be in great condition or whatever. Matter of fact, it could have even been in the same exact condition as yours, but for whatever reason, that car was just different. That person loved that car, bro. Like, that car got that person from point A to B to C to D and right back to point A. Like, that person ain't have no problems with the car. It did everything good for them, and they did the regular maintenance on it, you know what I'm saying? They put gas in that puppy and it purred. Well, they put gas in that kitty and it purred. Yeah. But right there, now that person has a good ideology, has morphed a good ideology in their head about Toyota as a car brand. It is reliable, and now that person is more susceptible to buying a Toyota later on down the line again in life. Whereas the other person that had the down bad Toyota, that person is more susceptible to not buying another Toyota in their life. That person might even go on to tell people, nah, you don't need a Toyota in your life, you know what I'm saying? Like, go spend your money somewhere else. But just right there, those two people now have two different morphed ideas about the same concept, the same ideology, the same Toyota, which is crazy for real. But that just goes to show that people are not only a product of their environment, but people are also a product of their experiences. Now, the thing is, some people just don't understand and realize how morphed and how censored their ideologies on certain topics are, because now what I perceive as good is what you perceive as terrible. And now there's what I call this clash of clans. You know, I don't even play the game Clash of Clans, but I'm gonna call this the clash of clans. It's really like a clash of experiences where you can't tell me a Toyota is a great and reliable car when mine broke down on me, when you can't tell me a Toyota is not a reliable car because mine lasted forever and I took great care of it. You know what I'm saying? Right then and there, our experiences begin to clash, and that's what we don't want. And that's how this good and bad stigma can begin to arise. But the best way to settle that good and bad stigma is just by simply understanding the fundamentals of what happened and understanding that what might be good for you might not have been good for somebody else. But just because it was bad for you don't mean that it's not gonna be good for somebody else. Now, the thing is, some people just don't understand and realize how morphed and how censored their ideologies on certain topics are, because now what I perceive as good is what you perceive as terrible. And now there's what I call this clash of clans. You know, I don't even play the game Clash of Clans, but I'm gonna call this the clash of clans. It's really like a clash of experiences where you can't tell me a Toyota is a great and reliable car when mine broke down on me, when you can't tell me a Toyota is not a reliable car because mine lasted forever and I took great care of it. You know what I'm saying? Right then and there, our experiences begin to clash, and that's what we don't want. And that's how this good and bad stigma can begin to arise. But the best way to settle that good and bad stigma is just by simply understanding the fundamentals of what happened and understanding that what might be good for you might not have been good for somebody else. But just because it was bad for you don't mean that it's not gonna be good for somebody else. Now, once you've taken it upon yourself to understand what is good for you and why is it good for you, you'll also be able to, I hope you've also now, once you understand what is good for you, I also hope you understand why it's good for you. And the same exact, like the other way, same exact thing the other way. What is bad for you, try and take a look back at the experiences, problems, and events that arose in your life that allowed you to draw up a bad connotation about some of the subjects or things, people, items, whatever it is that is in your life. And you'll begin to understand that your personal experiences have morphed the ideology of good and bad towards those certain topics. And you cannot generalize and apply all of your own specific ideologies onto everybody, because somebody else could go ahead and take that same exact subject and draw up a positive experience because it was able to impact their life within a positive manner.